It's another edition of Time About the Movies. Today we're taking a look at the films of March 8th, 1996. We got 9 movies to look at today, so I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's just jump on into it, and we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, which was Nathan Lane and Robin Williams starring in The Birdcage.
We are flocking to The Birdcage.
What?
The #1 smash hit in America, and the falling down funniest comedy you'll see this year.
Bravo!
Time magazine says, a very funny film.
Twyla!
Lane and Williams are 2 of the world's most gifted comics.
Oh!
And Joel Siegel raves, get the flock on over to a theater. This is one funny movie.
It's just what Rush Limbaugh said.
The Birdcage, a Mike Nichols film, rated R. Now playing.
The Birdcage is, of course, a remake of the French-Italian comedy La Cage aux Folles from the 1970s, which was actually turned into a musical. I've never seen the original La Cage aux Folles. I've only seen clips of it, and it looks pretty funny. Like, it looks like it could be a really funny movie. But this one definitely looks like a modernized take of that film, directed by Mike Nichols of The Graduate fame. Elaine May is the writer of this. This is actually the first script she ever solely wrote since Ishtar, the infamous flop with Dustin Hoffman and Warren Beatty from 1987. So 9 years after that movie nearly killed her career, she's back again, and what a way to come back on this one as the solo writer on here. But this is a pretty funny movie. Robin Williams is very good here, so is Nathan Lane. You got Gene Hackman and Diane Wieston here. They have a lot of good comedy in this. Calista Flockhart, Pre-Alan McBeal, Hank Azaria of The Simpsons, Christine Baranski's also in here. They have a really good cast here, and there's a lot of memorable, funny moments in this movie. It's a very slick, very hilarious comedy. It's not afraid to be what it is, and it's just so unique and so incredibly funny. Like, it's a funny comedy that you look at, and you don't mind the fact that this is basically a straight-up gay comedy, and you can watch it even if you're not gay, even if you're not straight. You can still watch this movie and find so much to really admire about it. There's just so much about it that works because of the writing, because of the direction, because of the work of the amazing cast in this film. It's a really fantastic movie. It's a hilarious film. It was a huge hit when it came out, and you can definitely see why. It's still one of the most beloved comedies of Robin Williams' career almost 30 years later. And again, you can definitely see why. There's just so much about it that's so memorable, so unique, so funny. Even if you've never seen the original films, the original La Cage aux Folles trilogy, you can still find a lot here to really enjoy about this film. I can't recommend this movie enough. The Birdcage, fantastic film. Can't recommend that one enough. So, with that said, let's move on to the next movie, and that is Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco.
When Chance, Sassy, and Shadow get lost in the big city,
Chance, look out!
a gang of streetwise friends takes them in,
Yo, I got dibs on Chubby.
They're cute.
helps them out,
Now!
and shows them how to find their way home.
Next year I plan the vacation.
Where you go?
Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco.
Nice buzz, cuz. Getting a fight with a lawnmower?
Rated G. Starts Friday, March 8th at a theater near you.
I mean, did you see the first Homeward Bound? Then you're probably going to like this one. It's pretty much the same movie. It's just replaced the wilderness elements from the first movie and replaced it with San Francisco. It's pretty much the same movie as the first film, as well as kind of taming down the more intense moments. And again, pretty much the same movie as the first film. And is that a bad thing? Not really. I mean, there's still a lot of fun elements to the movie that I can still enjoy, mostly for nostalgia's sake. This is one of those sequels that I saw a lot more than I saw the original film. I saw this one first before I saw the original Homeward Bound, and before I saw The Incredible Journey, the film from the 70s, I believe? 60s, 70s, around, that was based off the previous film in the series. And like Back to the Future 2, Batman Forever, among others. And while Homeward Bound 2 certainly is a retread of the first movie, it definitely still has a lot of redeemable elements to it. I think that work very well here. The voice work overall is still very solid in here. The comedy and the action can be fun. It still manages to be entertaining for a good majority of the film. It kind of reminds me of Beethoven's Second in a way. It's definitely a lot of the same elements from the first movie again, but there are still a lot of fun moments in that film that you can still enjoy, even if you think it's just a retread of the first movie. This is literally a retread of the first Homeward Bound movie, and the original is the better film, the Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey. This is still a fun film. If you like the first one, you'll probably like the second one, just like I did. So, that's pretty much all I got for you on that one. Quick one on that one. Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco. We have another sequel up next, and that is Hellraiser Bloodline.
Pain. This evil has existed through the ages.
Oh my God.
Now a brilliant scientist will hunt him across the past, present, March 8th.
See, Hellraiser Bloodline did this before Jason X made it cool. Actually, Jason X didn't make it cool. It was actually... Okay, it wasn't bad, but it was still not a good movie whatsoever. But Hellraiser Bloodline, this is the last film to be released in the Hellraiser series that actually went to theaters. And it had a troubled production history. Of course, you see the name Alan Smithy there. If you know the story of Alan Smithy, it was an alias back then used by directors who wanted to go uncredited, basically acknowledging that their movies that they're involved in are not very good. The director left the production when distributor Miramax demanded new scenes be shot. It was completed by Joe Chappelle. I was trying to find the name for this guy. Joe Chappelle came in to finish it. The new scenes and reshoots changed several characters' relationships, gave the film a happy ending, introduced Pinhead way too early. They cut 25 minutes of the film, and the movie was just a mess on so many levels, so much so that it was also not screened for critics, which should tell you everything you need to know about this movie. It's just like, this was really the end of the road for the theatrical run of these Hellraiser movies. They kept getting worse and worse with every film. And this was also the last one that Clive Barker was involved in until the 2022 reboot came out, which I saw a little bit of the 2022 reboot. I thought that was actually pretty interesting, but I haven't seen the whole thing, so I can't really comment on that one too much. But this is really about as bad as you could possibly get. This is a film that's not that enjoyable. As much as Doug Bradley puts his effort into this, it's still not an enjoyable movie. It's a lackluster installment, one of the last ones of the series with him involved. And actually, no, I don't think he is. I need to do some research. Give me 1 second. Well, that tells you everything I know about this series. Apparently, I thought Doug Bradley didn't come back after this one, but no, he was in most of the Hellraiser movies, including the direct-to-video sequels, so, I mean, more power to him. He liked doing these movies. I mean, Warwick Davis did so many of the Leprechaun movies that weren't very good and went direct-to-video, and those turned out to be good. He probably made a good payday, and he probably had a good time making those films, so who am I to judge? But, what was I even talking about? Hellraiser Bloodline. Just not a very good movie. It's a very bad film. Just because of everything that was going on behind the scenes. That's pretty much all I got for you on that one. So let's move on to the next movie, and that is If Lucy Fell.
Jane.
Jane?
Beautiful, lovely, tall Jane. I hate Jane.
It's about dating. I think you should bathroom it. It's about mating.
I would be perfectly happy to blow your mind, but can we just lie down?
It's a new comedy for the romantically challenged.
Are we boyfriend and girlfriend or not?
If Lucy Fell.
Oh, Lucy, not the hug test again.
Rated R. At theaters March 8th.
Yeah, remember Eric Schaefer? No one? Yeah, I have no idea who this guy is, but apparently when this movie came out, he was kind of a big deal. I mean, they were setting this guy up to be the next big movie star, the next big entertainer, because he had a TV show at the time that actually followed The Simpsons back in 1995, but it unfortunately got canceled after one season. And this movie, he put a lot of money into this. Sony gave him $3.5 million to make this movie, and nothing ever came out of this guy. I mean, this movie came out, and he kind of disappeared after that. And honestly, this movie doesn't seem like it has a whole lot of promise to it, honestly, despite the fact that it has a pretty decent cast to it. Sarah Jessica Parker, Elle McPherson, Ben Stiller, James Rebhorn, Scarlett Johansson, one of her early film roles. But other than that, it just looks like a mediocre, bland romantic comedy. Nothing too crazy, nothing too interesting, and nothing really all that exciting, honestly. So, quick one on that one. Let's move on to the next movie, probably the best movie that came out this weekend overall, and that is the Coen brothers' Fargo.
We got a shooting.
A story so strange.
There's a high-speed pursuit.
It's got to be fiction.
And then this execution type deal.
A place so real.
You were having sex with a little fella then? Yeah.
It's got to be true.
Oh, yeah?
A brilliant, macabre thriller so utterly original. It could only be Fargo.
Police!
From the creators of Raising Arizona, there won't be a better film this year. Fargo, rated R.
What more do I even need to say about Fargo? It's one of my favorite movies of all time. One of my favorite Coen brothers movies of all time. Frances McDormand, fantastic in this movie, playing Marge Gunderson. Deserved the Academy Award. This movie deserved to win Best Picture. I don't care what anybody says. You know, The English Patient may have been a good movie, but I'm sorry. This was one of the best films of 1996. It should have been the Best Picture winner. I don't care what anybody says. I prefer this movie over The English Patient. I think it is the best movie one of the best movies of the year, and really, I don't think I need to say any more about this movie that hasn't already been said. It's a classic movie, shot beautifully, great cinematography by Roger Deakins. The Coen brothers giving you this great comedy. The direction is very solid. The cast is great. McDormand, William H. Macy, Stu Buscemi, Peter Stormare. Just so many memorable lines in this movie. Really, do I need to say any more about it? It spawned a fantastic FX TV series, which is still going strong after all these years. And again, do I really need to say anything else about this movie? If you haven't seen Fargo, do yourself a favor and watch the damn movie. It's amazing. I can't recommend it enough. Fargo, I love this movie. So, with that said, on to the next movie, and that is the re-release of Heavy Metal.
Legendary cult classic Heavy Metal traveled to worlds of awesome beauty, erotic fantasy, and terrifying evil. Heavy Metal has been completely remastered in VHX with headbanging music from some of the greatest bands ever.
Oh, wow.
This journey to the incredible includes spectacular, never-before-seen footage.
Help me!
For the first time on home video, Heavy Metal in limited edition collector's packaging. It's louder and nastier than ever.
Of course, Heavy Metal came out in 1981. This is produced by Ivan Reitman. It's funny, Ralph Bakshi always gets credit for this movie, but he always has to tell people, I didn't make Heavy Metal. That was Ivan Reitman. That was the Ghostbusters guy that made it. And this came out in 1981. It was a cult hit for a long period of time. They actually re-released it in theaters this weekend in 1996 to prepare for the video release of the film, which actually sold over 1 million copies. It was very successful on home video. And it's a very unique animated movie. It's a very unique film with science fiction and fantasy stories taken right out of the Heavy Metal magazine. Visually, stylishly, one of the most gorgeous-looking animated movies you'll ever see. It is such a trip on so many levels. Features an amazing cast of people that some of them you may not recognize, but some of them you will definitely recognize. Rodger Bumpus, Squidward from SpongeBob, Jackie Burroughs from Dilbert, John Candy, Joe Flaherty, Eugene Levy's in here, Harold Ramis, August Schellenberg, John Vernon. Just a phenomenal voice cast. Great music by Black Sabbath, Blue Oyster Cult, Sammy Hagar, Cheap Trick, Devo, Journey. Amazing soundtrack. Just it has left a long, long legacy in cult form. Like, it's a film that really should have a re-release in the same style of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's on that same level of a re-release type of film that could be seen at midnight screenings and would probably get a huge audience going into it. It's just an amazing, amazing film. Stylishly beautiful to look at. Some of the shorts don't work so well, but overall, you just have the time of your life because of how amazing the animation looks. It's amazing that this movie has held up after over 40 years. It's a fun movie, really stylishly gorgeous to look at. Another one I can't recommend enough, Heavy Metal. So, with that said, on to the next movie, and that is The Star Maker.
From the Academy Award-winning creator of Cinema Paradiso comes a new motion picture about the golden age of cinema. Everyone dreams of becoming a movie star.
Directed by the same man that did Cinema Paradiso, this is a film that basically kind of has one plot in general. You're following this photographer and all the various people that he comes across, and probably not the most engaging story, honestly, when you really think about it, compared to Cinema Paradiso. But this is just me judging by the trailer alone. I haven't seen this movie, so I can't really say too much about it. He did make Cinema Paradiso, which is an amazing, amazing Italian film, but so I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. If I ever get around to seeing this movie, there could be something there that maybe I'm just not seeing. Just from what I've seen from the trailer alone, I don't think it's really that interesting, but again, I got to watch the movie to see for myself, so that's a quick one right there. On to the next one. We have Chungking Express. Another one I haven't seen, so I can't really say too much about this. This film consists of 2 stories told in sequence, each about a lovesick Hong Kong policeman mulling over his relationship with a woman. The first one features a cop obsessed with his breakup with a woman and his encounter with a mysterious drug smuggler, and the second one has a police officer roused from his gloom over the loss of his flight attendant girlfriend by the attentions of a quirky snack bar worker. And like I said before, I don't really know too much about this because I haven't seen it, so I know nothing about it, but I mean, it has a following to it. It's been seen by one of the great films of all time. So maybe this is something that could be very interesting, but I don't know for sure. I haven't seen the film, so I can't really say too much about it. So that's Chungking Express. Let's move on to the last movie that we have here, and that is Love Lessons.
Eftersom Albert inte har kommit tillbaka från skolsyster så behöver jag någon annan som följer med mig till kartrum.
Another movie that Box Office Mojo gave the wrong title for. It's called All Things Fair, but in Swedish it's called Lust och fagring stor. Literally, Great Lust and Beauty. And the clip there you saw pretty much kind of sums up the movie. It's a sexual relationship between a teacher and her 15-year-old student in southern Sweden during World War II. And haven't seen the movie, but we've seen many movies like this, and I don't know what to make of it. I mean, it got nominated for an Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film, so I guess there's that. Other than that, though, I'm not really sure about this movie overall. I didn't know anything about it before I did this, so I got nothing else for you on that one. So that's All Things Fair, or Love Lessons, or whatever they want to call it. Great Lust and Beauty. So that wraps up this edition of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we'll have 6 more movies to look at, including Executive Decision, starring Kurt Russell and Steven Seagal. We also have Matt LeBlanc trying to make his big screen presence known after his work on Friends with the movie Ed. Spoiler alert, it doesn't work out well, but we'll talk about that on the next one. We'll also talk about Too Much, The Celluloid Closet, Land and Freedom, and Tarantella. So I almost said Tarantula, but those are the 6 movies that we'll look at next time around. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time, and until then, as always, take care.